Hey everybody, welcome back to another Jackson Jet Setting cruise ship tour. Today I'm on board the Wonder of the Seas, the world's second largest cruise ship. Only the Icon of the Seas is a larger ship than the Wonder. She made a big splash when she launched in 2022 as one of the last Oasis-Class ships. So let's go to the very top deck, deck 18 if you can believe it, and start our tour from there. This ship has an amazing suites neighborhood. They kind of divide the ship into neighborhoods rather than decks. So if you are paying for those premium cabins on board, you're going to have a whole section of the ship to yourself, stretching over decks 17 and 18. So first we're going to start here on deck 17 and go check out the coastal kitchen and the suite lounge. This is a kind of combined space that is basically a restaurant, the coastal kitchen, open for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And then the suite lounge is going to have your concierge available to you, kind of make any reservations on the ship or for excursions. They kind of handle everything for you. So you have a space dedicated for this. It's nice and quiet. They have a little buffet area over there if you weren't ready for like maybe a whole sit down meal. And up here on deck 18 is actually going to be the suite deck. So this is going to have your own private whirlpool. It's going to have some sun loungers overlooking the same view down below as the coastal kitchen. Just an amazing section. Moving over to deck 17 forward facing the front of the ship is actually a sun deck that not a lot of people know about, I don't think. This is a great area to get some sun, maybe something that's not in complete direct sunlight as you see in this video. But this place is going to be a lot more quiet. It's above the solarium that we'll show you in just a second, overlooking the front of the ship where you're going. Really cool. And then behind it is actually Social 100, which is a dedicated space just for teenagers on board, which is super cool that they get their own outdoor space. You can access that from deck 16 if you're a teenager, and you get your own space away from adults, which is pretty cool. Swinging around the other side facing the Central Park neighborhood and the water slides is going to be some more sun loungers. This is really cool. Not a lot of people saw this space. I really thought that this is kind of a hidden gem on this ship, which can fit almost 8,000 people, which is crazy. And then deck 18 above is where you would get on those three water slides, the Perfect Storm water slides. So pretty cool that this area exists on the ship. It's very hidden from guests and kind of hard to find, so pretty cool. So the Perfect Storm water slides, you're going to have two racing slides on the right here, and then one, what I like to call the toilet bowl water slide on the left. So you get shot out into a big bowl and spin around a couple times. It's pretty fun. Open pretty much every day of your cruise unless inclement weather gets in the way. Lines get kind of long, so I would try and hit that when they first open, or maybe on a port day when there's less people on board. But it's really a great option there, and it overlooks Central Park. It's kind of thrilling just to see how tall this ship actually is when you're on top there. Now moving on to deck 16, this is going to have a few public areas. It's not a full deck by any means, but a lot of things to do on this deck. Some of my favorite areas of the ship. For one, there's going to be Hooked Seafood, which was one of my favorite restaurants on board. I've dined on many other ships that have Hooked, and this was my favorite Hooked of all three that I've tried. It's going to have delicious seafood, of course. You have surf and turf during dinner and lunch. I think that lunch is a really good deal here. Just as a side note, really great views of the solarium. I like the views from that restaurant the most of all the specialty restaurants, and there's a really great view all the way down the atrium, down to the Royal Promenade down there. Really cool stuff unless you are afraid of heights. Now's a good time to ask if you are a big fan of cruise content to please like this video, subscribe to the channel. I've got a lot of cruise content coming up in the next couple months. We're absolutely obsessed with cruising as well as travel in general on the channel, so you'll see lots of awesome resort tours, maybe help you plan your next vacation. Thanks a lot for watching. Now, as I mentioned, deck 16 is not going to be a full deck only because most of the middle part has been carved out by a lot of other fun on lower decks. But this is going to be your sun deck, so you're going to have a lot of lounge chairs overlooking the ocean. Really great ocean views here. I do think that the Wonder of the Seas suffers from one problem that most of the Oasis ships that I've sailed on suffers from, which is not enough ocean views from the lower decks. But this deck does not have that problem. Plenty of ocean views all over the place here, and you have some great views of the pool areas as well. You see the splash pad over there, Splashaway Bay. Great section for the kids on this side of the ship, and there's more pools to be found on deck 15. We're going to show you that in just a second. So this neighborhood would be called the Pool and Sports Zone. So just if you're wondering what neighborhood you might be in, that's going to be it. The Lime and Coconut is going to be the pool bar on board. That's going to spread out over a couple of decks. It's really got some bright Caribbean colors. Really loved that aspect of Wonder of the Seas. Everything really felt nice and new because it's only been around for 2 years. So here's the Lime and Coconut bar. This is also around where you check in for those cabanas. So those cabanas are going to be an extra charge. There's also a nice stage here for some live music that might happen throughout the cruise. As we make our way aft, you'll see some more of the pools. One cool thing that I noticed on Wonder versus the other Oasis-Class ships that I have tours of on the channel is that they have that stadium seating going down to the pools, which I thought was really, really cool. They also have a big screen for watching sports or any sort of activities that may be going on the pool deck. You can watch them on the screen, which is really cool. These whirlpools are awesome too right there that have a glassed inside. You can see kind of out, and if you're on one of the lower decks, you can kind of peep in at people in the whirlpool. Just a very unique option that they have there. There's one of those cabanas I was mentioning that you can rent for an extra charge. We're going to make our way back to some of the fun here on deck 16. Over to the left is going to be the Paddy Center. So if you forget maybe some dive gear or some snorkel gear, this is where you're going to buy it. This is also where you check in for any dive excursions where you show your C card. That's kind of the general location it always is on those Oasis-Class ships. Some cool Instagram walls, though, as we walk back towards the fun. Now, this is the 4th Oasis-Class ship that I've sailed on at this point, and so this is the area that I saw the most design changes on Wonder of the Seas. This whole area has been completely redesigned. Some things have been moved around, different parts of the ship, so I found that to be a little bit disorienting because it's not been too long since I've been on an Oasis-Class ship. I really like this glassed-in ping pong area, though. It prevents the ping pong balls from flying out all over the deck, and it keeps the wind out, too, if you're actually playing your game. This is the sports court, basketball, volleyball, dodgeball, pickleball now, which is a big, big draw on Wonder of the Seas. You have pickleball going on a lot of the time here, so you can keep your pickleball going, which is really a lot of fun. Heading over to the very back of the ship, we're going to find the only flow rider on board. So there's only one flow rider on board the Wonder of the Seas, different than all the other Oasis-Class ships that I have sailed on. This ship was originally slotted to sail out of China, so there were some design changes, and they switched that up because of COVID and never actually launched in China, went straight to Florida. Right now it's sailing out of Port Canaveral on week-long journeys to the Western Caribbean and the Eastern Caribbean. You can check out the review of my cruise on the channel as well. And they'll schedule boogie boarding and stand-up surfing sessions as well as private sessions that you can book if you want to learn. Really, really fun option there. A little yoga going on during my video here, but right there is going to be the ultimate abyss. So this slides all the way down to deck 6 on the boardwalk. Massive dry slide, not a water slide, but a dry slide with sounds and lights. Worth doing at least once on your cruise, and it's completely free. Of course, there is the wipeout bar over here to the left. And then stretching out over a couple of decks here is the Wonder Playscape. This is going to be completely unique to this ship. A great option if you are cruising with little ones. Got some slides and climbing nets and some various little interactive activities here. Obviously, I didn't partake in this activity, but as a new dad, I thought, hey, this would be great for my son when he's old enough. But yeah, really cool that they featured that, and this replaced where the flow rider would have been on other Oasis-Class ships. By the way, if you are thinking of traveling with a young kid on board, have no fear. There were changing stations in all the restrooms that I visited. Lots and lots of options for those young parents, making sure they have an enjoyable time. There's a nursery on board that I'll show you in just a second. But love this little Wonder Playscape. It's a great place for the kiddos, the little kiddos, to actually have some fun, unique fun on board. So that little section spreads out between deck 16 and 15 and kind of bleeds together there. But back on deck 16, this is where you would do the zipline activity as well. So that's going to be included in your cruise. They got that going on throughout the cruise. Pretty unique and very small zipline, but if you look down while you're ziplining, it's a pretty big drop. I thought it was pretty thrilling when I did it. Also love this about Wonder is they switched up the mini golf. It's a different theme than the other Oasis-Class and even the Freedom and Voyager-Class ships that have been on. So it's nice that they actually made some changes to the mini golf, because I've been on a bunch of different ships at this point and it's always kind of the same holes, same designs. So I like that they switched that up. If you look at the windows above, that was the coastal kitchen and the suite lounge that we were just in. And over here is the Cantina Fresca. This is connected to El Loco Fresh, which is an included, completely complimentary food option. This is going to be Mexican food. They got a salsa bar open on the right when they're serving food. They got burritos, they got nachos, they got quesadillas. I always like the food here. I think it's really good. Line can get kind of long because it is buffet style and it's kind of one line in and out. It's one of the main complimentary options on board if you don't want to do like a full sit down meal. So just keep that in mind. Have some patience a little bit. Line moves pretty fast in my opinion. If you are thinking about sailing on Wonder of the Seas and would like some professional help, I do run a small travel agency. You can reach out to the email on our channel. We can get you set up with potential itinerary options, anything that you need on board. We're experts on Royal Caribbean. We can help you out. So now there are some interior sections on deck 16 in this area, so we're going to go check those out as well. Overlooking a little bit of the pool deck on deck 15. We're going to check that out right after this. So as you can probably tell, there are a lot of places to hang out on board. There are a lot of people on board too. There's over 8,000 people that can sail when she's at absolutely full capacity, plus crew. But I sailed on a pretty full sailing and I felt like there were plenty of places for people to spread out. They did a really good job of all of that. Arcade is going to be inside here. Not a gigantic arcade. I've seen bigger arcades on smaller ships with Royal Caribbean, but again, it's a 2-year-old ship, so everything felt pretty new. Nothing was like too beat up, which can definitely happen on some of the older ships. Some of the games do reward tickets, and you can redeem those for prizes right here in the arcade. Just be a little careful because these are not free games, and if you let your kid wild with your SeaPass card, you might be a little surprised. Across the way as well is going to be the vending area, so they're going to have actually some basketball and Pokemon cards for sale, some electronics that you might have forgotten, sunscreens and things available for your day on the beach, feminine products, healthcare products, that sort of thing. And that's going to be across from the inside portion of Social 100, which I loved that entrance to the teen club here. They're going to have their own vending machine with some fun candies and snacks. This is going to be a cool hangout space. They're going to do a lot of different activities here. They're going to have their own whole schedule throughout the cruise. And as a parent, you're probably not going to see them if you let them loose in here because they do a really great job. Everything was really cool in here. They had video games. They had interactive game top tables that I had never seen before. Foosball. Really a lot of fun. So if you have teenagers, they're not going to be bored on board. The rest of deck 16 is going to be basically a mirror image of what we walked through. I'm going to keep that here in the video if you just really enjoy walking across the ship. But we're going to head over to deck 15 here when I jump back in. Now onto deck 15, right where the toilet bowl perfect storm water slide spits out. We're going to walk into the solarium, one of my absolute favorite areas on board any Royal Caribbean ship, but especially Wonder of the Seas. Super well designed on this ship. I think they really perfected it on this one. One thing I love are these cantilevered whirlpools that actually have a glassed in section that overlooks the ocean. So when you're off the ship, you can see that the hot tub water is actually overflowing over the ship. Really great ocean views here. It's just impressive that they were able to engineer that. I love that about this solarium whirlpool. But there's a lot more to do in the solarium. So one thing that's really great is this is a really sunny area, but you're not going to get sunburned because it's actually glassed in. Over to the left here is the towel stand. So Royal Caribbean uses what I think is the most annoying system ever, where you actually have to buzz in with your SeaPass card to check out a towel, and if you don't return it, they'll charge you $25. In my experience, the system doesn't work very well, and they end up accidentally charging your account. You got to go get that fixed with guest services. It's just an annoying part of the vacation. I think that they should do away with it. Solarium Bistro is going to be in this glassed in section and then hooked up above. So that's going to be a free option on board for you. Something as an alternative to the Windjammer that can get quite busy. A few other whirlpools here, as well as a bottom section that's, technically on deck 14, overlooking the front of the ship. This is a really, really cool area. I love the wading pool, and then I love the little splash pool here. Looks like a whirlpool. It's a little bit bigger than most of the whirlpools on board, but it's just a typical pool. Amazing views though, and you're not getting sunburned. So we ended up hanging out here a couple of days. You have the solarium bar right there too, getting your cocktails. This area gets busy, but I feel like a lot of people are looking for that actual real sun on board. So I was always able to find a chair in here just to, camp out, read a book, and relax. I will walk down a little bit and check out a little bit of this area. One cool thing is they do have two wings that are actually on top of the bridge that are open during the port days when the ship is not moving, which on other ships, they actually keep these open, but these are kind of your Titanic type moments. These are going to get you as far out from the actual body of the ship as possible, while still remaining safe, and they have some great views. Definitely recommend going out to those when you're in port, maybe as you set sail. Some fun little theming moments here in the solarium. You got some faux topiaries going on. Definitely check those out if you're walking through the solarium. We're going to keep our tour going though, and we're going to walk through the Solarium Bistro and the rest of deck 15, which has all of the pools on board. So I think the Solarium Bistro is kind of the biggest secret on the ship. It's got pretty much the same food as the Windjammer, just it's not as big of a buffet, but it's going to have your breakfast options, eggs, omelets, bagels, all the pancakes you want, as well as in complimentary beverages. And then it's going to have its own menu at night, which is complimentary as well. So I really, really love this space. I think it's very elegant feeling. It's not as busy as I mentioned. It's just very much a chaotic experience up there in the Windjammer, as you'll see during the rest of this video. But Solarium Bistro, the secret's out. Eat here. Moving on outside is a new bar to me on board. This is the View Bar. This takes the spot of another one of those cantilevered whirlpools, which I think is a little bit of a bummer. but it is nice to have a little outstretched part from the ship so you can enjoy a cocktail and watch the ocean go by. Over here to the left are where the 2 racing slides from the Perfect Storm would spit out, and kids can run back up and keep riding. Kids just looped these things on board my cruise. They absolutely love the water slides. It's located right next to Splashway Bay over here, so this is going to be for the younger kids. Great area for those that are not actually potty trained but have swim diapers on. They can use this area rather than the pools, because the pools don't allow for that. You're on board a ship, disease can spread very quickly, so they keep things nice and clean, which is great. But it's good that everyone has an option for fun on board the pool deck. They even have their own water slide, which is much smaller than the Perfect Storm water slides, but for a little kid, probably pretty daunting. Another towel station over here to the right, and then to the left is going to be Sprinkles, which is going to have your complimentary soft serve. Line for this, of course, always crazy. Lime and coconut, another bar, same menu over here to the left, and some seating over here to the right. Nice little lounge seating, some deck chairs. I love the bright colors of that section. This pool is called the main pool. Now we'll make our way into the Windjammer, which is probably my least favorite spot on any Oasis-Class ship. A lot of people on board looking for free food. I don't blame them. They don't build these big enough for this ship. Unfortunately, it just gets really slammed in breakfast. Lunch and dinner are a lot better, but if you're going at those peak meal times, be prepared for a wait. It's going to be hard to find a table. If you're just grabbing something to go, bringing it back to your cabin, you might be able to survive, but it just gets really busy. And on this ship, they've redesigned it and they've kind of closed it in a little bit more and then added the Mason Jar, which is a specialty restaurant, Southern style food. We ate here for lunch on Embarkation Day. It was a new restaurant for me since this is only on the Wonder of the Seas for right now and then Utopia soon. Really good restaurant though. If you love Southern food, if you love fried chicken, that sort of thing, they have that here aplenty. Chicken and waffles. It's a good brunch spot. Definitely a good option. They have really fun Southern theming. They have a separate bar that also has country western music at night, some country going on. Really nice space to hang out, and they even have some rocking chairs that overlook the ocean. And I'm a little conflicted because on other Oasis-Class ships, this part would actually be a part of the Windjammer, so making it a little bit larger, at least adding some more seating. But on this version with Wonder, they made the Windjammer a little bit smaller, didn't really add any more seating. And the guest flow is just really tough. So we're going to show you during a less busy time what the Windjammer looks like here. So Windjammer is going to be open for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I do wish that around dinner time it's open a little bit later. I know that some of the competition has their buffets open a little bit later than the Windjammer. So overall, I think the quality of the food's pretty good. If you're looking for something a little bit quicker than main dining, I think this is going to be your best option on board for dinner. They have different theme nights going on. They have Caribbean night, that sort of thing. Good little minute steaks. Sometimes I can see some high-end seafood on a longer cruise. Maybe they've over-provisioned something. So sometimes there's just some surprises on the Windjammer. And you can see some of the seating available here. So overall, not my favorite spot on board, but the quality of food, pretty good. Now we're done with deck 15, so we're going to check out deck 14, which is Adventure Ocean. So Adventure Ocean is going to be the main kids area on board. This is going to be the youth zone if you're going by neighborhoods, but you do have the Puzzle Break Center over here to the right, which I think was supposed to be an fully themed escape room, and they kind of just ran out of budget, or they rushed this during COVID. So they do a free kind of escape room style experience that was fun to do for about 45 minutes, but wasn't as fun as the escape rooms that I've done on other ships. So the kiddos are going to be divided into different age groups in this section. I think that this is one of the best youth centers on any Royal Caribbean ship that I've seen. So I'm going to walk through all of this. As a parent, you can check out and see if this is going to be a great fit for your kid. I know that tons and tons of kids were having a blast in here. And for a very full voyage, I didn't see a ton of misbehaving kids running all over the ship. So I think that the kid sections were doing their job. Now, the only other public section on deck 14 is going to be the card room. So this is where you can play some card games. They also have board games that you can rent for free. Nice little chill spot. This is also where you can find your daily Sudoku and crossword puzzles that are put out by the ship. Nice little space here that not a lot of people are going to find on their vacation. Deck 12 and 11 are going to have just one space that's spread out over the two decks for the public. Rest are going to be staterooms. It's going to be Wonderland, which is a specialty restaurant. The top level on deck 12 is going to have a bar that you don't need a reservation to go visit. They have some specialty cocktails that are different than anywhere else on board. And then deck 11 is actually going to be the actual dining venue, and so this is going to be a sort of molecular gastronomy theme. It's themed to Alice in Wonderland. They have it on a couple other ships, and overall it's a fun thing to do once, but not my favorite restaurant concept. Deck 10 is going to be all staterooms, so we're going to head down to deck 9, which is going to have the music hall. The music hall is going to be a venue that one can rent out for weddings that I saw throughout the cruise, but then also game shows, live music, live dancing, spread out over two decks. They got a pool table on the top deck here on deck 9. A couple of seating options as well for those loud nights with some kind of raucous game shows going on. Really like this space though, and it overlooks the boardwalk down below. So really cool views. Very pretty space on board the Wonder of the Seas. Here's a look at the deck 8 entrance that was closed, but you saw inside there. Otherwise, on deck 8, you're going to have Central Park, which is one of the most unique things available on an Oasis-Class ship. This is going to be a real plant park in the middle of the ship with balcony cabins overlooking a couple specialty restaurants, some shopping, some free restaurants as well, and then the Rising Tide bar over there to the right, which rises up from the Royal Promenade. Over to the left is going to be Chop's Grill. You can see the inside right here, one of the classic restaurants on board any Royal Caribbean ship. It's on every single Royal Caribbean ship. But the Rising Tide bar is actually an elevator bar that goes up from a couple decks below. Pretty cool, and it runs every 15 minutes or so. Some outdoor seating over there to the left for Chops. And on the opposite side is going to be 150 Central Park. 150 Central Park is another specialty restaurant, kind of focused on new American cuisine. It's absolutely fantastic. One of my favorite options, I think, is a little bit more elegant than Chops. You can still get that steak. The lobster thermidor is my favorite entree here. Check out my review video for what the food looks like. But I really enjoy this space. I love all the plants, the trellis bar over here for having a nice herbal martini that they have on offer there. Really, really fun. Some glassed in areas that overlook the Royal Promenade down on deck 5. You can see the Perfect Storm water slides up on the pool deck there. Just the ship's massive. That's all I can say. And we're, moving through this tour here, and there's plenty more to see. Over here to the left is going to be the Park Cafe, another secret spot. I think this is going to be open for breakfast. They're going to have a little bagel station going on, some to-go items, and then during lunch, they're going to have the famous roast beef sandwich, and then they also have a make-your-own salad bar. So if you're trying to stay healthy on your cruise, it's going to be a great spot to do that. Across the way from the Park Cafe is another specialty restaurant. This is going to be Giovanni's. I love that they brought Giovanni's to the Wonder. This is one of my favorite restaurant concepts that they do. Really just classic Italian. The ossobuco at dinner is one of my favorite entrees. We ate here twice during the cruise. Really love the ambiance in here. And then they turned Vintages, which is normally the wine bar on these Oasis-Class ships, into like a Giovanni's wine bar concept. So they actually have an a la carte menu in there. So if you're not looking to maybe spend $50 or $60 on a full specialty dining experience, you can just have a little snack here, have a glass of wine. Nice relaxing atmosphere here on the Central Park. And then there's going to be some high-end shopping, some watches, jewelry, that sort of thing over here to the left, kind of making it feel like a real park, like Central Park in New York. Deck 7 is going to be completely stateroom, so Deck 6 is where we'll start our tour in the forward part of the ship. This is going to be the Vitality at Sea Spa. I always do my spa tours on embarkation day when everything is open, but to the right is going to be a little Vitality Cafe, so you can get your specialty coffees there with a lot less line than on the Royal Promenade. They have some free food as well as smoothies. Those are going to be an extra charge. Salon over there to the left. Check-in desk for any spa treatments you might have up ahead here. Heading to the left is going to take you to the gym, which I'll show you in just a bit. And then over here to the right is going to be the entry to the main spa area, which you got to walk down some stairs. Big spa area. I've never really been impressed, though, with the spa facilities themselves on board any of the Oasis-Class ships. No ocean views. It's all very socked in. And, overall, just not a place that I really want to hang out. A lot of ships sell, including the Wonder of the Seas, a package that you can go access the steam rooms throughout your cruise, and it's just not a very big space for the money that they're charging, in my opinion. And then here is the relaxation room that you can hang out at before your treatment. Now we're on the aft section of Deck 6, and to get to this section, you actually have to walk through the stateroom corridors, so there's no like public space that connects smoothly. But this is going to have the schooner bar and the loyalty desk on this side of the deck. Schooner Bar, classic. It's on every Royal Caribbean ship. This is where they play a lot of trivia throughout the day. I just wish this space was bigger. If you watch some of my other tours, this is something I complain about. I kind of feel like a broken record at this point. This is a very popular bar, and I wish that it was either more central, maybe on the Royal Promenade itself with more seating, but it always gets really busy during trivia. Of course, this does overlook the Royal Promenade that we'll show you on the next deck, but this is a really, really fun little option here if you want to grab a drink, maybe when they're not playing trivia, because it can be a little bit busy during those times. You can see the Rising Tide bar where that gets dropped off. You can see a whole car here. I mean, this ship is huge. It can fit cars on their inside street. But the shore excursions desk is located on the other side of deck 6 here, and also the photo gallery. So if you forget any photo items like, GoPro batteries, you can grab that there. But then turning around from that section is the main entrance for the boardwalk. This is going to be one of the outdoor areas on the lower parts of the Wonder of the Seas. One of my favorite areas. It's got a lot of lively action going on, themed, of course, to a boardwalk. They have a free carousel right here for the kiddos or the kids at heart. You also have a free hot dog stand here, the dog house, and you're going to have bratwursts, different little food items there. Some carnival games, of course. These are not free, unfortunately, but there were some free games inside the Playmakers. This is a section that I think normally is an indoor arcade, or at least was on some of the other Oasis-Class ships, but they've used this to add a pool table and an owner's suite on the Wonder of the Seas so that you can actually rent out for different sporting events. You can kind of own the space. Maybe you're on board for a Super Bowl cruise or playoffs or your favorite sports team. Cool that they have that option. Couple of shops, candy shop, the kids shop over here to the left as you make your way to Johnny Rockets. Johnny Rockets is a specialty restaurant, but they are open for free breakfast, and that is a big secret on board. Now we're going to walk into Playmakers, which is the sports bar. So the food in here is going to be a la carte as well. If you have the unlimited dining package like I did, you can actually spend about $20 a day here completely free, which is great. Had to shoot this at multiple times during the cruise because some sections were closed off, but this gives you a good idea of what it looks like on the inside here. Now you might remember from earlier in the video, almost 30 minutes ago, we walked by the entrance to the Ultimate Abyss. Well, this is where it spits out, so you can see exactly how massive these two twin dry slides are, and those are right next to the twin rock climbing walls and the Aqua Theater. And the Aqua Theater is one of my favorite areas of the ship. This is where they do the diving shows at night. Sometimes they're canceled due to weather, so just keep that in mind. But the Aqua Theater is really, really an awesome option on board for you to hang out at. Now we're going to head down to Deck 5. And Deck 5, just below the boardwalk, is going to be the main dining room, stretching 3 decks. So it's a 3-deck main dining room. Pretty amazing that they have that much space just dedicated to free dining, but they do. So we'll take a look in here. Also encircling this deck is going to be the jogging track, because they have a full jogging track on board, which I think is really great because you're not dodging people on the sun deck like other ships. You actually have a full jogging track that doesn't take that many laps to run around the whole ship. And then there's actually an entrance that takes you up to the fitness center. We'll show you the fitness center now. Big size fitness center though, lots of new equipment, of course, because it is a new ship. Now we're going to double back and check out the Royal Promenade. So the Royal Promenade is the main shopping street. You've already seen part of it in this video. Pretty similar to the other Royal Promenades that I've seen on Oasis-Class ships. You got the Bionic bar over there to the right. Included in your beverage package, the robots will make you a cocktail. If you're paying a la carte, you still pay a service charge, which I still think is pretty funny. Lots of jewelry and logo shops here. You know, your Wonder of the Seas gear you can buy here. Cafe Promenade is going to be a free option. Some small to-go items, as well as your specialty coffees. And the guest services desk is going to be located right there too. Next cruise is going to be where you can plan your next cruise. If you love your Royal Caribbean cruise, I do recommend stopping by there and taking advantage of some of the promos to book your next cruise while on board. To the right here is Sorrento's, the free pizza shop, very busy late at night, open till about 3 a.m. I believe. The Cask and Copper is the pub. I believe I got that name right. Really cool space here. They have some live music, some trivia going on. Lots of specialty beers here, though. So if you are a beer drinker, this is going to be the most beer on board in terms of like variety. What I love about all the Oasis-Class ships is they have one big art piece on the Royal Promenades, and so they have a cowboy hat on this one, which I loved. Spotlight karaoke over here to the left, a little different than the other ships because they actually have private karaoke rooms that you can rent out. They have karaoke here for the public during the evenings as well. Small little bar here too. They do trivia, other games in this space. Just wish this space was bigger. They do a lot of things in here, and it's a big ship. Just wish it was a little bit bigger, more seating. If you're a Starbucks nut like myself, they have a full service Starbucks here. All the food items that you might order on land, all the specialty coffees, they are all here. Not included in the drink package though. They do have Starbucks beans at all of the other specialty coffee places on the ship, so you can still get Starbucks coffee, just not like the full experience, like the refreshers and things like that. Bolero's right here, the Latin bar on board, lots of Latin dancing going on, dance classes, really fun bar hopping if you like that type of music. Now we're going to head down to Entertainment Place, another neighborhood here on board. This is where you're going to find the Royal Theater, which is going to stretch out over 2 decks. You're going to find the casino, the comedy club, the attic. Lots of cool things here, so we'll check all that out right now. So like I mentioned, the Royal Theater is going to be the focus point for a lot of your entertainment in the evenings. All your big production shows are going to be in here. Stretch out over 2 decks. It fits a lot of people, but can get busy on these cruises, especially for the really popular shows. So just make those reservations in the app before your cruise, just as a little pro tip here. Really huge atrium, though, that we looked at from up above. Now we're on the very bottom part of that, which is just amazing how big the ship is. I'm going to say it 1,000 times. The ship is big. Over to the left is the non-smoking section of the Casino Royale, and I gotta say, as someone who goes into these casinos a lot on the cruise ships, Wonder of the Seas is one of the best casinos I have seen on board because they had a whole section of the main casino that was non-smoking, and the filtration actually worked. Over here to the right is going to be the attic. That's going to be the small comedy club. There's going to be a lot of comedy shows during your cruise, so you make those reservations before your cruise or on board. The Crown Lounge, formerly the Diamond Lounge, that's going to get you access into there for your specialty coffees from the machine, some private little options in the evenings. And then Studio B is going to be the ship's ice skating rink. And so I love the ice skating rink on board. The shows are always so great and performers amazing. So definitely check that out on board. Now we're going to walk over to the Casino Royale. So I'm filming in the Casino Royale when the casino is closed. Park West is going to have a small gallery over here as well as we walk through. They were getting ready for the art auction, so not a lot of art on the walls as I walked through and did this tour. So the casino is going to have a ton of slot machines, of course, table games, poker tournaments, blackjack tournaments, slot tournaments, craps, baccarat, you name it. Really great casino. They have a small casino bar in here with some great bartenders. A really pretty casino. Honestly, really a nice space, and of course is very popular on board. The other side of the casino is going to be the main dining room and Izumi. So Izumi is kind of wedged in here, similar to other Oasis-Class ships that I have been on. Not a huge space for such a popular restaurant, but they did fix this on future editions like Utopia and Icon. So you're going to have hibachi over here to the right, and then the sushi bar concept over to the left. Really popular option though, so get those reservations in early. And down here on deck 3, not too much going on. You're going to have the main dining room and then a small conference center. And that's going to round out our massive tour of this massive ship. Hope you really enjoyed your time here. And please subscribe to the channel if you love this type of content. See you next time.